Welcome to episode 84 of Shane Talks Bang Kiss, Kiss Bang. Yeah, we're going to be talking about action movies. I am here with my hetero life mate, my Valentine, Mr. Jason L. Mayer, the greatest co host in the history of podcasting. How are you on this Valentine's Day, my friend?
Tired. I'm just kidding. I'm good. I'm good. Ready to
All right.
party.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be on here with you. We're doing a completely different format for this month for our mid-month mini little episode that we decided to do on our goal to hit 100 episodes by the end of this year. So we're kind of not going to do everything the exact way that we normally do. So like first up, I got some recent stuff I just want to go over with you real quick. Like I know you're not a huge awards show guy, but the Grammys were a couple of weeks ago, and there was two things that I dug from the Grammys, so I just want to check in with you about them. Did you see the was it Luke Bryan and Tracy Chapman duet they did?
It wasn't Luke Bryan.
Who is it? Who was it? Who was it?
Oh, my goodness.
Um Luke Combs?
That sounds better.
I guess I
Tracy
probably should
Chapman
have
and
written
Luke
it down.
Combs. Man. Woo. What I
You,
can tell
you're a
you
country
is,
guy, right? Like you're a country
yeah,
guy.
I mean, I, my wife's a country girl, and
Okay, okay,
just listen to it because it's there.
okay.
It's also nice because most of the time, a lot of country music doesn't have curse words in it, and not a whole lot of like suggestive, like super suggestive lyrics or anything. So it is more appropriate to listen to for my kids when I have them in the vehicle. So, but Luke Combs, Tracy Chapman doing Fast
Yes.
Car.
Isn't Luke Combs what I said the first time?
No, you said Luke Bryan.
Oh yeah, okay, my bad. Yeah, yeah. Cool, gotcha. Yeah, whatever. I get all this country guys confused. Lukes and
You
Lukes and Lukes and
said that,
Lukes.
and I was like, I'm pretty sure that I have not seen that guy in concert.
Yeah, no, no, no. But okay, so when you guys did your like country pass a couple of years ago at Deer Creek, did was he one of them that you saw, or have
No,
you seen this guy before? No.
I don't believe that I have.
Okay, right on.
Uh, I can tell you in just a couple of moments. What I can tell you is that the performance for that
Uh-huh.
was pretty cool and pretty special. Fast
Yeah,
Car,
absolutely.
um, Fast Car is one of my favorite songs, probably from the 80s.
I
Um,
agree.
it's just, it's just like, it's just got very well written music, man. Like
Yes.
it's something I always enjoyed, even when I was 8, 10 years
Sure.
old, whatever you want to say when that came out. So really dug it. And Luke Combs' version is fine.
Yeah.
I don't think he did any disservice to the music, but I wouldn't say that I definitely don't think it's me personally, I don't think it's better.
Sure.
Um, but I kind of like the mashup between the two of them and them going back and forth. It worked really well.
Absolutely.
I did not watch the Grammys live. I can't stand most award shows.
Sure.
Pretty much the only one that I do watch live is the Oscars if I'm watching any of them.
Cool.
So I and I don't know what it is about the Grammys. I couldn't find it took me forever to find an actual recording of this
Yep.
online. And I'm
Yep.
guessing the Grammys probably do that on purpose for them. But I think it's really stupid, especially when you have something that has as much um, like is just as talked about as that. You would think that they would have their own like YouTube channel so that you
Yep.
could go watch the Grammy performances or something, just so that they weren't just sitting there in limbo. But
Yeah, it was really weird, and I agree. Very like I did watch the Grammys live. Not that not that I really care about the Grammys because I didn't know 90% of the music that was talked about at the Grammys or anything like that. But I did know that was going to be performed, so I wanted to see that. A couple of months ago, I randomly heard the Luke Combs version of the song and literally was like, "Oh, this is really cool!" Like you said, I grew up with Fast Car. I love the song. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool that like somebody covered this. Like, wasn't expecting that, but that's kind of cool. I heard it, at in the lobby music at my work. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so I started looking into it because I didn't know who it was, and I was kind of curious, like who would be covering Tracy Chapman. Like, I hadn't thought about her really in a long time. Found out it was him, and then I thought it was really cool that because he didn't take any songwriting credits on it because apparently only changed like one or two words in his version of the song, so he gave her sole writing credit on it. That it won country music song of the year or some shit like that at like the country music awards. So she was the first black woman to ever win um like song of the year or whatever the biggest song is or whatever at the country music awards. So I really thought that was kind of cool. And then when I heard that they were going to be doing the duet, I was like, I really want to see that. And so I really enjoyed it, but I agree it was really hard the next day to even find it online anywhere. One of the two of them put it on their social media, so I was able to watch it on that. And then I saw a couple of days ago Tracy Chapman posted, "Hey, I've heard a lot of people are having trouble finding our performance together. Here's the website where the Grammys uploaded the video." And like it is like an embedded video on their website. It's not like a normal streaming on YouTube type thing. So I'm not sure what their deal is and why they're doing it that way, but that was weird. Um, so the other part of the Grammys. Oh, do we have a cameo coming up?
Why won't it
There's
work?
Trey. What's up, bro? How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. Good to see you. Excited for school tomorrow?
I'm not sure about it. Maybe.
He's got an awesome adventure coming up this weekend. So
Oh, where are you going this weekend?
Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's dope. That'll be fun. There's a lot of cool stuff to do in DC. You excited for that?
Yeah.
Good. So that's the eighth grade field trip, right? Nice. Very cool.
you didn't
I
go on
know I did not go on ours. I don't remember why I didn't go.
but you were somewhere else in seventh grade and you had to sign up, I think, in seventh grade for the trip, maybe.
that
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 might
makes sense. Yeah, I was at a different middle school in seventh grade, so I did not get to go. I went our senior year of high school. I missed our senior prom because I was in Washington D.C. But yeah, dude, D.C. is a lot of fun, dude. I hope you have a good trip.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
can you
wish
feed
I
the dogs and give them water, please?
sure.
Awesome, man.
Good night, Shane.
Good
Night,
night, Nate.
Dad.
Good to see you, brother. Have a good night, dude.
Dude,
Bye.
as he
As
disappears
he
and
as he fades
or
into
I
night.
like
That's awesome. There was another performance that made me think of you at the Grammys, and I'm sure you found it somewhere online to watch. Did you watch Billy Joel's first new song in 30 years?
I've listened to that song multiple times. I did
Mm-hmm.
not find his Grammy performance anywhere.
Oh,
He was hard
okay,
to find that
okay.
fast bar. Um, but um, but yeah, I've definitely listened to it a few times. He's also posted videos of him performing it before.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
he does a Madison Square Garden concert quite often. And and there's video of him doing it from one of those as well. So
Very awesome. Yeah, there was a little blurb before he performed at the Grammys about the like I don't know this kid's name, but some current musician that convinced him to like do the song with him, and I thought it was kind of a little cool cool bit that they put together between the two of them talking about how he convinced him to do this song and stuff. So that's cool. As a Billy Joel fan, what do you feel about the song? Like I thought it was pretty dope.
yeah, it's nice to hear him do something new.
Sure.
Uh, he I love it. Like there's so much of his catalog that's just so worth the time of listening to. I think he's fantastic. One of my favorite artists of all time, easily. Um, I don't know if he gets enough credit for the music that he did create. And I know a lot of people go, "Oh, please give me Elton John instead." It's like you don't need to pick one or the other. For me personally, it's they both have their niche, and just because they both play piano, but then like you look back on Billy Joel, and he was a great guitar player too, or I won't say great, but a really good guitar player. And he tended to, I felt like he kind of challenged himself a lot more, in my opinion. Elton John always had his own he has kind of almost like his signature sound, whereas Billy Joel, I mean, like there were times where he was doing, Motown, and then he was doing Elvis, and then he was doing this, and it almost like what's the word? The Queen is another one who I felt like constantly like challenged themselves to like change different genres and different sound and stuff like that. And I feel like Billy Joel definitely did that a lot. So
I'm gonna feel dumb when you answer this question. Billy Joel did soundtracks for Disney, correct?
he did Oliver and Company.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he
I
did that.
thought there was one that he did, and I couldn't remember what it was. Oliver and Company. Nice.
Yeah, Elton John did Lion King, but then he also did Road to El Dorado
Yep.
for
For
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks.
And then Elton John's done like at least 3 or 4 different like Broadway musicals that I can think of. One of them being Dracula, which is very weird and odd to me, but and then Billy Joel, as far as I know, the only thing that I'm aware of that he did was called Moving Out, which was basically like they took all of his music and like turned it into a narrative, and so it was just a bunch of Billy Joel songs, kind of like Green Day's American Idiot or something
And
along
then
those lines.
Peter Gabriel did Tarzan, right?
No, that was Phil Collins.
Phil Collins. Ah, man, damn it. Man, I'm
That's
breaking
easy
out on
to,
my music tonight.
but yeah, but like Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins are all like they were both lead singers of Genesis, so
Yeah,
like it's totally understandable that you made that mistake. So
yeah, damn it. Word. So last night was the Super Bowl.
last
And
night,
I mean, by the time this comes out a couple of nights ago, but as a recording moment, it was last night.
yep.
Yep, whatever. In the recent history of the world was the Super Bowl. And man, like first of all, uh dude, back in the day, didn't they show full movie trailers during the Super Bowl? And then like now it feels like they give us a 30-second clip. Granted, it's $7 million for 30 seconds, but it's always like go watch the whole thing on online. And I find that kind of disappointing. Like that was a bummer. So there was a couple of trailers that I want to talk about and find out if you went and watched the full trailer and how you feel about them. And the first one being Deadpool 3. Has it gotten you excited at all for any of these movies? And what do you like? Did the trailer make you interested in it? Like, I'm assuming
My
you were already interested in it.
Yeah, I mean it's Marvel. It's what it is, right? Like I was never a huge Deadpool fan reading comic books. I just thought he was okay. He was fine. He would, but I didn't find him anything special. Ryan Reynolds has done a wonderful job with the character for the movies. First one's way better than the second movie, in my
Oh,
opinion. But this isn't just Deadpool 3, it's Deadpool and Wolverine. And so when it's Deadpool and Wolverine, I thought the trailer showed some cool stuff. My problem is like the entire time I was waiting for Wolverine. And
true,
then you
true.
barely gave me, and it's a teaser, so they can get away with it. But yeah, like the entire time I'm like, where's Wolverine? The entire time. And then they finally give you a tiny, tiny glimpse of him at the very end of that trailer, which is fine, but
Sure.
that was the whole reason I was like super pumped about it. So
Absolutely. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Of all the trailers, it was probably the best one that we got because the next one I want to ask you about is one that I am so not excited about at all, and that's the sequel to the movie Twister. I love the movie Twister. I don't think it needs a sequel. I don't understand what the logic or point is behind doing a sequel to Twister. I'm honestly,
there's
I'm
two of
honestly,
them, Shane. Now there's two of them.
oh my god! Like I'm to the point. Like last night, I was debating with myself all night. Would I rather have they just rebooted it and just called it Twister or whatever, and just made it like an updated version of Twister, or like however this is going to connect to the original, because obviously they're using Dorothy again. So like it's got to somehow connect to the first movie, I would assume.
Yeah.
Um, but like I'm so not excited for it. Now, granted, I say that I'll go fucking watch it. Like there's no question about it. I'm gonna go watch it. It's gonna be a summer blockbuster. It's a sequel. Like I've got to go to be able to complain about it. But like I'm not excited for the sequel to Twister. How do you feel about it?
It's fine. Glenn Powell's in it.
Well, true, and I do enjoy
I've
him.
I've enjoyed all of his stuff that I've watched, so I'll watch it. Like you said, I'm not uber excited about it. I think the funny thing is when you texted me, I was like, "Oh, of course he's gonna be the love child of Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. If not
But
just the kid, forget about love child. It might actually, they might have gotten married and had a
sure,
great relationship and everything else. Hopefully, Helen Hunt shows back up and is like mentoring him or something, or mention something. They'll probably wait until like the last third of the movie to bring her aboard,
sure,
uh, because that's what Hollywood does. So,
sure.
uh, but yeah, Twisters, dude. The weird thing is that first movie isn't that good of a film.
It's
It's
fun
no,
though.
no, it's fine, but it's not a good movie. It like writing wise, it's like, what is this? Like you don't I don't think
Bro,
there's a
that is
whole
one of the best casts put together in a 90s movie, though. That has an amazing all-star cast.
you're fine. That's fine. But you all-star cast don't make a movie. It's weird because like I said, it's not that good of a movie, but every time it's on, I'll watch it. Like
You know,
I
so much.
don't turn that channel. I don't turn that dial, man. Like and it's not that great of a movie, but I'm entertained, and
Yeah,
that's probably why like it's not going to be a problem for my ass to be in that seat on opening weekend because of the fact that I enjoyed the first one so much. I doubt John DeBont has anything to do with this one because they
probably not.
probably, why would you? But I mean, why wouldn't you, in my opinion? Because we know he's not doing anything. So you might as well have gotten the man to at least make the sequel to his first film. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm gonna look that up while you talk about the next thing.
Well, the next one's one that you're going to have to talk about because I am not familiar with the source material at all. So when I saw Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Lion, and the Tin Man all show up in the trailer, I didn't realize that they were all in Wicked. Like I thought this was like a prequel. So like I'm really confused and I need you to set my shit straight because I have never seen Wicked. So I don't know if I'll go watch the movie or not. I'm not sure. But like we got the Wicked teaser. How do you feel about it?
First of all, I forgot that Michael Crichton actually wrote Twister. Like it was based on, it was written by Michael Crichton and some lady named Anne Marie Martin. So yeah.
Didn't
Um,
remember that either, to be honest.
as far as the Wicked trailer goes, um, it is the only thing that I watched last night that gave me chills.
Okay,
So
okay.
I am I've seen Wicked probably the most out of anything on stage as far as all the musicals I've seen performed live. I've seen it 3 times on Broadway. I know I've seen it, and then I've seen it at least 4 times otherwise.
Nice.
Uh, yeah. So, I, Kathleen Horgan, friend of the show, and
Sure.
our high school drama teacher, or one of our high school drama teachers. She, right when it first came out, I was visiting her at our old alma mater, and she was like, "Jason, you should listen to this." And I was like, "What's it all about?" And she was like, "Oh, it's kind of like the story of what happened with the witches in Oz before Dorothy shows up." And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like that. All right, let me give this a shot. Steven Schwartz wrote the music. Steven Schwartz is fantastic. Godspell, Prince of Egypt, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Pocahontas. I'm trying to think of what else off the top of my head. But yeah. So like tons and tons of great music by this guy. And so he's one of my all-time favorites. Cool moment for me was When I first listened to it, I was blown away. And there was a point in time in the late 90s, early 2000s where like everything had gotten like minimalistic and abstract with musicals. So like all the new stuff that was coming out was very just like I said, minimalistic. Chicago was re-released around this time, and like they reimagined Chicago, so there wasn't much of there's not much of a stage in the
Oh,
production that when I saw it. The band is on stage inside of a box. Like imagine I mean it's take a regular box, cut it diagonally, and then put
right.
half of that box on the stage, and they're just sitting inside this box on the stage, and everything's happening around in front of and around the band being on stage.
Right.
So like that happened, and then there was a couple of other ones where it was very minimalistic, or like they don't change much. Like think about Rent, right? Like
Mhm.
the whole stage is on the whole set's on stage pretty much the entire show. They
Yeah.
change lighting and they change things, but they don't really change the set at all. Um, Wicked was a flashback to earlier musicals that I really enjoyed, stuff that I got into when I was in high school, like and what I mean by that is just huge sets that are flying off and flying on stage and everything else. Um, so I really, really love that show. It's fantastic. And I had my reservations about the movie. They're
Sure.
making it into two parts, which kind of
Oh,
annoyed,
really?
yeah, kind of annoyed me.
And
But
this has been delayed a couple of times, right? Like, wasn't this come out a while ago?
well, it's not delayed,
Oh,
so
okay.
they never went into production. It was in
Oh, okay.
production for like 12 years.
Ooh,
I mean, this thing's been out for 20 now, and they've been talking about a movie since that was, yeah, that would have been, I mean, it's owned by Universal. Like Universal actually, kind of like Disney does like their stage productions of, Beauty and the Beast and
sure.
Lion King and all that. Universal Studios actually got into musicals with Wicked, and I can't remember if they did other ones before this or not, but I know that they are in charge of Wicked technically, and they've been talking about making a movie for. Oh man, that was probably 20, yeah, it was probably like 2000 before Castleton Arts closed. So you're
Damn.
looking at '05 at least, '04, '05 at least, that they were talking about making this into a movie for the very first time.
Holy.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. And it kind of annoys me because I really enjoy Idina Menzel is the Wicked Witch, and
Uh-huh.
she her name's Elphaba in this musical. And then you have Glinda, which was played by Kristen Chenoweth originally on Broadway. And both of those actresses, if they would have gone into production 20 years ago, they could
Uh-huh.
actually still played these roles. Um, Now you have Ariana Grande, and I don't remember the other woman's name. It's escaping me right now, but she's playing Elphaba. Ariana Grande's playing Glinda. Ariana Grande's got like these mega chops. I don't know if you ever like you hear a pop star and you're like whatever, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. And don't get me wrong, Christina I still think is probably one of the best singers technically on the planet. I don't care for much of her music as of late, but she's fundamentally sound as a singer. Um, Ariana Grande might have the best control out of anybody I've ever heard sing.
Wow.
Like that's a pop star. I mean, she started off on Broadway and started off in
Oh,
music
okay.
theater, and to hear her, she was on one of the late night shows. It might have been Jimmy Fallon, and she like literally did um what's the word I'm looking for? Not in not she was in not intimidated. Oh my God. Imitating like all the pop stars. Mariah Carey, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and she could change her voice sound she would sing just like them, but while some people can do that, it still sounds like them. She was able to make herself sound like them instead of her trying to do like the runs and stuff that they were doing. She literally sounded just like them. She's
Cool.
phenomenal. I don't care for her music much, from a pop standpoint, but
Mhm.
yeah, I am genuinely, um, I talked about it on this show a couple of times. My daughter got into Wicked, or got into Wizard of Oz, and then kind of got into Wicked, and then was cast as the Little Witch in her Christmas show. And so she just back in December got to do Defying Gravity as a part of like the Christmas dance show that she was in. Um, so this musical has a newfound place in my heart because of all that, and getting to take my daughter to see it down in Louisville. Um, I cannot wait to take her Thanksgiving week and
Nice.
to totally be immersed in it. My only problem is it's a two-parter, and the second part's not coming out until December of next year.
Oh
So it's
wow.
yeah, they're doing a full like year. But yeah, uh, it's such an amazing show that I'm hoping that the movie does it justice. Steven Schwartz wrote some new music for it as well.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
New songs that haven't been performed before, or haven't been heard as a part of the musical before. So um, I'm looking forward to it. I'm super.
Does the musical itself have a good cliffhanger point in the middle? Do
Oh
you
yeah,
think for
I
them?
mean, so it wasn't until like I really thought about it, and it was because of Wicked that I'm like, the term showstopper literally is the middle of the like, so many musicals have this gigantic number at the end of the first
Good point.
act,
Good point.
and it's literally just to stop the show and take their break. And yes, this
Okay.
Defying Gravity is literally the showstopper
Oh,
of
okay.
of Wicked. So it ends the first half of the show. You go to intermission, and I just have a year before I have to watch the second half. I can't imagine that they're not going to. They have to stop with that number at the end of this
Gotcha.
first movie, because that's something that would be such a great cliffhanger that would make people want to come back and see the second half, essentially. So, um,
That's cool.
but yeah, I'm super pumped. It was the only one that made me feel like like I was watching it, and if you listen to the show, you know I'm an emotional dude. So I freaking got goosebumps. The hair on my arms was standing up, and I was just totally immersed in watching that trailer. It was a brilliant trailer. So, and on
Awesome.
a side note, you
Yeah.
asked if Dorothy, the Tin Man, and
Yes.
are all of them are a part of Wicked. They are a very, very small part of Wicked.
I
You
thought it
know,
was a prequel.
it, it mostly is.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
mostly the first half of it is all prequel.
Okay.
The second half, about like a third of the way through the second half, is the beginning of the Wizard of Oz,
Oh, okay.
and
All right.
they happen concurrently. Like they're happening at the same time, traveling down the same path. And so there's certain things that happen in the stage version where like comments are made and stuff like that, where like, yes, Dorothy's a part of the show.
Got
um
it. Okay. I never realized that.
yeah, but they do it in such a fun way, which I know some people love the book that it's based off of, which is an entire prequel pretty much.
Oh, okay.
uh that I think his name was Gregory Maguire, is the one who writes that. um it's it's painfully boring.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I bought it because I was, I was pumped because I love the musical so much. I was like, oh, I got to read this book. And then there's so much political crap that goes on in that book.
Really?
Yeah, it's think of like all the most boring parts of episode 1, 2 of Star Wars that have to do with the Senate and everything.
Yeah.
there's so much crap political stuff, and you're just like,
Interesting.
I never finished it. I never finished it. So yeah.
Interesting.
And they made a sequel to that book, which was called Son of a Witch. So
Interesting.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next trailer. What's up?
That was a long tangent. Sorry. That's the
No,
first-
that's what the show is all about, man. We got no format we got to worry about right now. The next one is another movie I'm not really excited about because the second one was so bad. I really enjoyed the first Quiet Place. Thought it was really well done. Really did not like the second one, and I have no excitement for a Day or Quiet Place Day One.
I didn't see
Not
this.
excited at all. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I don't know if I went to the bathroom, if I was cooking dinner, or was putting the kid to bed, what was going on. I did not see this trailer. Uh Whatever.
Yeah.
Really like the first one. It's a solid on my 5 scale, you're probably looking at a 4, 3.5, 4, because it's got such tense moments in it. But that second one was so not, it's like they were trying to do the same thing, but it wasn't the same thing, and it just didn't work for me. So
Right.
I remember just being bored while watching the second one.
Yep. So it looks like, and like the second one starts off with day one in their town. So like we kind of got that. The trailer makes it look like we're getting day one in New York City and what happened there. So like I don't think it's going to connect. I would assume not really connect to the other movie at all. And I mean, who knows? It might end where the first movie picked up or something. Who knows? But
No, that's how they always got to do something.
yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm not excited for a Quiet Place Day One. The next movie is one that you for the last 6 months have hated. The original trailer we got for it because every single week, every single movie we go to, every one of them has the new Planet of the Kingdom of the Apes or whatever the fuck it's called has that trailer on it. And we got another trailer last night for it that still does not make me any more excited for this movie. Did it change your opinion of
No, I got up and left and went and found something to do. As soon as I realized what the trailer was, I was like, "Oh, I don't need to see this," and I walked out of the room.
it?
Yeah, I don't understand people's fascination with this series. I never understood the fascination in the '70s series personally. Um, like why there were so many made off of like, but you know what? They make movies for all kinds, man.
Sure,
And you know, if they're each going to make $1 billion, why isn't Disney going to make another one? So,
sure.
yeah, I'm just whatever.
Yep, I'm right there with you on that.
Although I
I
will
will.
say,
Go ahead.
the teaser poster for the Mark Wahlberg Tim Burton version was
Okay.
pretty cool. But that's been my favorite thing about anything with Planet of the Apes was the teaser poster for that movie back in like what was that, like 96, 97?
No, that was like '05.
It was what?
Like '05.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
No,
You're right.
sorry, no,
Okay.
2001. Apologies, it was 2001. It was
Okay.
2001 that the Tim Burton one came out. I will say this though about this franchise. I still think you should watch the James Franco one because of the three Planet of the Apes like new reboot of them. That was the best of the three of them. I will 100% understand why you don't like the second and third one because I agree I don't like them at all either. But of those three, the James Franco one was really pretty interesting. The origin of Caesar and how they created Caesar and whatnot. I thought it was really well done. It's not an action movie in any way. It's very much like a psychological. It's a slow movie, but I think that one of the three is worth your time. Like someday, if you ever get around to it, I think that one's worth watching of all these new ones.
Yeah, you were right. It was '01 when Mark Wahlberg's Planet of the Apes happened.
Um, I've only ever seen the first one of these, so I don't know about the Kung Fu Panda movies, but we're getting a fourth one. Your kids excited about that at all?
My
Or
kids
are
are
they?
very excited about it.
Okay.
Uh, I love the first one. Second one's really, really good. Third one, I don't know if I've ever actually sat through the whole thing.
Okay.
Um, But all my kids really enjoy Kung Fu Panda. That first one is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember the first
uh,
one being fun.
and this fourth one looks entertaining. I don't know if we necessarily needed it, but whatever. It's just
Yeah.
another franchise. I thought it was funny. I saw somebody made a post on Twitter and it was talking about Twisters, and it was like Twisters, Twister, Continental Drift, and then it was like, and then it kept talking, and it was like mimicking the Fast and the Furious series. And it was like Twister X and like all these, and I was just like, oh, this is Shane's post. I should have taken a
Oh,
screenshot.
you gotta tell me one of them was Twisted,
Oh, I
like with
don't.
AZ at the end. That would have been hilarious.
Oh, dude, it was one of those moments
Super
though.
ludicrous in that one.
Thinking of you in that. So yeah.
Very nice. I appreciate that. The only other commercial I want to talk about is the absolute hands down greatest commercial that they showed last night. Every moment of it was perfection, despite the fact that Tom Brady was in it. But man, Ben Affleck's Dunkin' Donuts commercial with J Lo, Matt Damon, like I don't remember loving a commercial the way I love that one in years. Felt like overall there was not a lot of great commercials this year. Not many of them were good. In our group chat, I texted, it's going to be really hard to beat this for the best commercial, and I don't think anything did. It was amazing, hands down amazing. How did you feel about it? And was there anything that even came close in your opinion?
Uh, Dunk Kings
Um,
is an amazing commercial. I I I was enjoying it from the moment they showed Ben at the beginning, and I'm like, oh man, I'm totally in. And then
yep.
and it's like him and J Lo, and they're talking about Duncan, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And then you went and kicked it up a notch because you threw Tom Brady in there, and I was like, man, this is the dopest commercial ever. And then they went, we're gonna top that with Matt Damon on top of this, and and I was dying laughing. It was absolutely joyful, awesome moment. Our love for Matt Damon and Ben Affleck on this podcast is
Absolutely.
unquestioned.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, for all of them to be such good sports and to make that commercial, the Duncan, the amount of money that Duncan must have spent to make that commercial from a cost perspective of just those four has got to be a pretty good cost. But yeah, the only commercial that can get close to that, in my opinion, and it's only because I get to sleep with the lady every night, is when you guys your law firm
Oh,
had their commercials right after the Super Bowl.
yeah.
It was the commercials that had my wife in them. So it was like I get to sleep with that lady. She's a Super Bowl commercial star, and I get to sleep with her. So
We definitely
was
talked about that at the office today about the fact that multiple people pointed out that after the Super Bowl, well, our commercial was one of the very early ones that aired after the Super Bowl was over, and I thought that was pretty dope.
yeah. So, yep, that's the only one that comes close, and that's just
Very cool.
because I
I
get to
just
sleep
I
late.
absolutely loved when Ben was dancing and his face reminded me of his face from Surviving Christmas. And like when Ben just goes full in ridiculous, I fucking love it. I enjoy when he embraces that part. So
Oh,
yeah,
when he's ridiculous and silly and stupid, there's not a whole lot else that you can. Yeah, he's fantastic at that. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're skipping group chat this month. I know you did put up a poll in the last day or two. We're going to talk about that on the March episode. We're going to kind of focus on some Disney stuff for the March episode, since we'll be
spoiler,
going to Disney soon.
spoiler alert! You just had to go talking about it. Couldn't just be like boom. But yes, you're right. So we're
Well,
good.
we can boom with the other poll that you told me you were going to put up. So like this is the teaser poll. We'll put up another one. It'll be Disney-ish related stuff. Yeah, gotta pump it up, man. Our Mount Rushmore for this month, we're gonna push, or for this episode, we're gonna push to the end of the episode because I want to talk about some movies and then we'll pick our four favorites from what we're gonna talk about. So let's just jump right into our feature presentation. We're skipping Troy Talks for this mid-month episode. We're just gonna jump in and do our thing. It's supposed to be like I was expecting this to be like a mini episode, but like we've gone on a few tangents already, and it's probably gonna be about as long as a normal episode. So that's dope. The feature presentation. You and I recently went and saw Argyle together. I knew I wanted to do something romantic for a Valentine's Day episode. Watching Argyle with you in our hetero way got me thinking about action movies that have romance in them. So I wanted to throw out a bunch of movies with you, talk about them, and see if you like think that the romance was justified, if you think that the romance worked in the movie, if you thought the couple was believable in the movie, if you enjoyed any part of the romance aspect of any of these action movies that we're going to talk about. So let's jump in. I want to quote one of my favorite action movies that's got some romance in it first. Jack says, "I have to warn you, I've heard relationships based on intense experiences never work." To which Annie replies, "Okay, we'll have to base it on sex then." Do you remember what movie this is?
Oh gosh, come on. Pop quiz, Shane.
Yeah, there you go. Well done, dude. Speed. We'll talk about Speed in a minute. I've got them kind of organized in chronological-ish order. But yeah, so Speed, man. Speed's like a prime example of what we're going to be talking about tonight. We got the trope of characters when you got a male and a female character that are just antagonizing each other through the whole thing. But you know there's going to be something that happens in this movie that makes one of them see the other one differently, and then it's going to be a whole new ball game when that happens. Hence the title of this month's episode, Bang Kiss, because sometimes you got an explosion that leads to somebody kissing, or Kiss Bang, where that kiss leads to them banging. See what I did with this title? Yeah, so we got some action, some romance, some sexuality going on.
Your wannabe Barney Stinson moment just there was kind of ridiculous. So keep
Yeah,
going.
so that was a little over the top, wasn't it? Whatever.
Wouldn't have it any other way, Shane. Wouldn't have it any other way.
All right, man. Let's start off with this. The first thing, as I was going through and trying to think up movies and then putting them in chronological order, like I feel like this is a genre that like very little bit was touched on in the 80s. Kind of became a pretty big thing in the 90s and the early 2000s. So like I want to kind of look over a lot of those, but like Indiana Jones, that's a good action franchise. Each one of the three, because I only address the fact that there are three Indiana Jones movies. Each one of those three Indiana Jones movies has a different love interest in it, essentially a Bond girl in each one of those. Uh, which of those three is your favorite? We had Marion Ravenwood, we had Willie Scott, and we had Elsa Schneider. Of those three, which one's your favorite?
Out of those three, I'm torn
Okay.
because I think the best one for Indy isn't my favorite.
Oh, really?
Marion Ravenwood makes the most sense with their history and everything else, but Elsa is smoking hot. Like
Absolutely agree with that.
like she like I've got a thing for blondes. What can I say?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yep, that was
See,
it.
and so, but which one do you think is the best for Indy? Which one did you say?
Oh, Marion by far.
Okay, you and I 100% agree with both of your statements on that. Because yeah, I agree. Marion is the best one for him. Like, and yeah, Elsa Schneider is just absolutely amazing. Let's move on to the Bond girls. I'm not as well versed with the Bond girls as like Brandon was when he was on our episode 7 talking about the James Bond franchise. So my Bond girl that I'm going to end up picking is very, I mean, I say recent. It's 30 years old now, but um, which Bond girl would be your
Oh no,
favorite?
no. I went first on the James
Okay.
or on Indiana Jones. You go first.
Well, so like it's got to be Xenia Onatopp, right? Like Famke
Absolutely.
Janssen in GoldenEye was just like flawless as a Bond girl. She was hot, she was sexualized, and I mean, like, yeah,
She's
like I
deadly.
deadly, yeah. Like I could not like I was curious if you were gonna go like pick the chick from the first Daniel Craig one, Casino Royale,
Uh, Eva Green.
Evergreen. Like I thought maybe like that might be one that you'd be interested in, but like I just I always just kept going back to Zenyatta, man. Like she was, and I mean she wasn't a good girl, so it's not like Bond ended up with her in any way. She ended up dead. Spoiler alert. But yeah.
No more
Um,
foreplay.
so yeah, you and I 100% on board with both of those categories. So then
And
like,
some consolation prizes in there.
uh-huh.
Uh, the chick from No Time to Die, it would be up there for me as far as things go. And then
Who was that?
dang it, Shane, why'd you ask me that question?
I'm trying to remember. Well, because like obviously Dr. Christmas Jones wasn't the greatest Bond
Oh my
girl.
gosh. And then what was it? Jade? Wasn't that what?
Jinx.
Huh?
Jinx.
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 Jinx. My
Yep.
fault.
From Die Another
Um,
Day.
well, Anna de Armas,
Oh,
is that,
sure. Yeah.
she was in No Time to Die, but I
Yeah.
was thinking of the lady who played Madeline, who is the one who had James Bond's kid.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I forgot about that.
Leia Sadoy,
Oh,
Sadu,
okay. Yep.
Sadoy, Sadu. Um, yeah, she's pretty attractive as well.
I
Um,
agree with that.
But yeah, as far as things go with Bond girls, like you also had Octopussy, which was really like growing up was probably one of my favorites. But yeah, nobody beats Xena on the top. So, and then the other Bond girl from Casino or GoldenEye was really hot too. The one he's actually ends up with at the end of the movie or whatever.
Was she blonde? I thought she had brunette hair.
No, no, no,
The Russian chick?
she was the Russian chick, yeah.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, I don't remember her name at all. But yeah, she was
Um,
very cute.
so
So I'm thinking the oldest movie that I mean, like I'm sure that there are other action movies with some romance in them, but like one of the first one chronologically that comes in my mind would have been 1980 when we had Empire Strikes Back. Because like I don't know if we could really consider A New Hope like an action movie. Like I mean, obviously there is some action in it, but like I mean I don't know. I guess like looking back, the whole brother sister dynamic like doesn't really make it. Maybe we could just look at the whole Star Wars trilogy and we can just look at all three of the movies and Han and Leia's romance in there. But like that's one of the first ones that like again, like I said, I'm sure there are older action movies that had some romance in them. Like I don't know, like I'm not a huge Clint Eastwood person, so I don't know a lot of his early work, but I'm sure like the Man with No Name, like probably hooked up with a chick at some point, I would assume. Um, but like so Han and Leia, give me your feelings on them in an action movie. Do you buy their romance?
of course you do. It's one of the classics.
Sure, agree with that entirely. Were you a fan of Romancing the Stone?
Yeah, Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile were both some pretty solid films with that dynamic.
That was Michael
Um,
Douglas and Kathleen Turner in both of them, right?
they were in all three of them because they also did War of the Roses together, which was
Okay.
the conclusion of it. But they were very they're
That's War of the Roses is really the same characters from the other two movies?
I'm pretty darn sure they are.
Holy cow, I don't think I ever knew that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Whereas like they bickered a lot. War of the they bickered a lot in all the other ones.
Uh,
That one they were like bitchy to one another. So Oliver Rose and Barbara Rose, Jewel, dang it, you just were there on my Jewel of the Nile. Jack and Joan. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. So he's Jack, she's Joan, and then they had Danny DeVito, which was Ralph. So I do apologize. I thought War of the Roses was a continuation, and I think the
What?
main reason I was thinking that was
It's the two
Mansing
of them in the movie together again.
is that it's the two of them and Danny DeVito again.
Yeah.
So like, so I think I just us that's really weird. So yeah, they are definitely not Jack and Joan.
Okay.
Okay, I apologize. I screwed that one
No,
up.
you're,
So
I was gonna be like floored if that was a thing. Like I never knew that. So that's cool. Uh, what about the movie The Terminator? Do you buy the romance in The Terminator between Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese?
it's kind of like the whole thing about Armageddon, right? Like you think about the fact that like it's like the whole reason he's doing it is because he's hoping that other people like you got to fight for the world, you got to fight for the future so that it can exist. That's the whole point of it. And yeah,
True.
he falls
That's
in
it.
love with Sarah Connor and he fell in love with her from the picture while he was in the future. But I mean, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's a great love story for me. So,
Okay, I dig it. Now, what about
but
The
you
Princess
are
Bride?
you're
What?
literally picking everything from our childhood, and it's like
No,
nothing that I'm like, man, if I would have really taken the time to look at this, the amount of like like romance that would have happened from everything else. But keep going, keep going.
you're good. Like, is The Princess Bride an action movie, or is it literally
No,
just a love story that's got a little bit of action in it?
that's a fantasy. I don't know, and it's kind of like the Star Wars saga, right? Like I don't
Uh,
know if necessarily it belongs in the action
yeah, okay,
sequence.
I can buy
So
that. What about Top Gun? Is Top Gun enough of an action movie?
yeah,
To be,
it's
yeah.
enough.
So, what do you feel about Tom Cruise's character hooking up with Kelly McGillis?
It doesn't really move the story along much. I mean, he has her and she's there for him when tragedy strikes and everything, but I don't think it wasn't 100% necessary. It was literally only in there for the women to go when they went to go see the movie to have some kind of interest into it because like women don't care about jet fighter pilots unless they have their shirts off. So, um,
Playing volleyball on the beach, baby.
oh yeah.
Hmm. Yum yum.
Wow.
Uh, what about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? Does that fall into that fantasy category also? That it's not really an action movie?
Yeah.
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 All right. So this one's definitely an action movie. We've already talked about it at the beginning of this segment. Speed. How do you feel about the relationship between Jack and I don't remember Sandra Bullock's character's name. Annie. There we go. Jack and Annie.
I
Between
was like, you just
you
quoted
just
her and
quoted it.
said this
Yep.
is her
That's
name.
it's my memory right there. How do you feel about the evolution of their romance as two people that just meet? They're in this really high tense situation, and they replaced him in the sequel, but whatever.
I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, if you're in that high tense of a situation, why wouldn't you sleep with that person immediately after surviving that craziness?
The
So
we just didn't die sex.
we just didn't dissect, correct?
Yeah. So I know this is one of your favorite movies. Let me know how you feel about like it's not a typical love story because it's about a man and a woman, like a husband and wife who are already together, but like mundane marriage, and then this rekindles their marriage. Give me your feelings about the True Lies romance.
My problem with that the more I think about that movie, I love the movie overall. Great movie. James Cameron hardly ever makes a bad film, in my opinion. I know that you have your opinions on that sometimes, but he never like my only issue is the end. Like
Okay,
like she gets to become a spy just because she's the wife.
sure.
She's she barely survives her first entanglement and they're like, "Oh, well then that means she's good enough to be a super spy." It's totally okay. That totally makes sense. It doesn't at all. It's stupid. But yeah, but for what it is, it's such an endearing thing, man, because like it's literally like every woman's dream for
Sure.
her husband who she's in love with even though things get boring and mundane, for all of a sudden him to turn out to be a super spy who's saving the world and everything else. This literally sounds like a romance novel while I'm saying this synopsis out loud. And all I'm thinking is some woman just made a ton of money off of writing this romance novel with Arnold Schwarzenegger with his shirt ripped and showing his
Sure.
muscle, his big pecs, like on the cover. All that's missing from him is him having long hair like Fabio. So, I mean, like this, but yeah, it's fantastic. They play it really well.
Well, and I gotta time out and go on a tangent real quick because I just remembered another commercial from last night that wasn't terrible, and it included Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hey, Farm.
That State Farm commercial that ended up throwing Danny DeVito in there at the end. Also, I did laugh quite a bit at that. That was not at Duncan level, but that was actually a very enjoyable commercial. Also, so I wanted
That's
to
a good silver place,
yeah
silver
wanted
medal
to
for
tangent
him.
off on that because that was pretty funny. I know we've talked about this movie on the episode or on the podcast before. You're shaking your head, but you know it's a great action movie. It's got
No,
Clooney and Anthony Kiedis in it.
that
It's
doesn't
got
make it
Charlie
good.
Sheen. This movie is so much fun. The chase, man. The chase is so much fun. They're driving a BMW. They have sex while driving a BMW at 80 miles an hour.
I mean, that's your fantasy. I understand that. So but the movie itself is not a good movie. Nostalgic wise, fine, I'll give it to you. But as far as like her Stockholm syndrome kicking in and whatever, dude. Like it's blah, it's fine. It's I want to be Speed, but I'm not as good as Speed. That's what it is.
Ooh. All right, okay. So how about the love triangle that goes on between Richard Gere, Sean Connery, and Julia Ormond, I think is
Julie
the
Ormond.
yeah.
I
How
think
do
you're
how
right.
do you feel about that love triangle going on in First Night? And does First Night count as an action movie, or are we back in our fantasy realm?
I've never seen the first night, so I can't tell you one way or the other.
Oh, okay. Well, I enjoy the First Night. I think it's dude, that's a Sean Connery movie, man. Why haven't you watched that?
It's just I've never seen it.
Well, I'm gonna go gift that to you on Apple so that you can watch it. I really enjoy that movie. I think you'll enjoy it too. It's a very period piece. I really enjoy First Night, and I think
And do you know
I
who the
think it
director
goes.
of that movie is?
The director of First Night is nope.
He did Ruthless People. He did Top Secret. He did Airplane. His name is Jerry Zucker. You want to know what else? What other movies he's done, Shane?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm afraid. I'm afraid, but give it to me. What else has Jerry Zucker done?
Give you all those. First Night. First Night is a drama.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I'm giving you Ruthless People, Top
Okay.
Secret, Airplane. So all these comedies.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Also directed right before First Night. Well, not right before. 5 years before First Night, he did Ghost.
Okay. Like Ghosts, whatever. Like okay.
Absolutely, you're right.
Romance. Yeah.
His
Romance. Okay.
last movie of all time was Rat Race.
Like, is he dead? Like, did he die after that movie? Like, how
If
is that his last movie? Like, is he
he
alive
didn't,
and just not? He hasn't worked since Rat Race.
he has not been a director since Rat Race, and he's not dead according to what I'm reading.
Okay. Well, let's not judge him on Rat Race. Yeah, that is literally one of the worst films I've ever seen in my entire life. So,
It's the race.
yeah, damn. No, I did not know that about him. He did better when he directed First Night. I'll tell you that. Moving on from First Night, you know I'm a Val Kilmer fan. Did you enjoy The Saint at all and the romance when he's trying to manipulate, seduce Elizabeth Shue, and then they end up eventually hooking back up? Like, how do you feel about The Saint's an action movie? So yeah, this works. It's an action movie. There's some romance in it. How do you feel about the romance?
Uh, I don't remember much about that movie. I
Oh,
remember him being a master of disguise, essentially, but besides that, I don't remember much about that film at all.
she's a scientist. She comes up with a
Cold
formula for like
Fusion?
renewable energy or whatever.
Is it Cold Fusion?
Cold fusion, yeah, that's what it was. And then like she gets hired to steal it from her, and so he steals it, but then he feels guilty about it. So then he like doesn't turn it over to the people that hired him to steal it. Like, yeah, I like the movie a lot. I know you like the next movie. I know you're a John Cusack fan, and I think this is a very funny and fun action movie. And John Cusack and Minnie Driver have great chemistry in Gross Point Blank.
How you like them apples? Um, it- it- yes, easily one of my favorite movies of all time. Minnie Driver and her, you watch something like Good Will Hunting, or you see her in other bit parts before this, and I was always like, wow, she's just she I would never have picked her to be in a comedy. I
Oh,
wouldn't have thought of like hiring her to be in this film. I think she does fantastic in this movie. I think I think that she is fantastic as an actress overall. But yeah, like absolutely love their chemistry in this film. It's fantastic.
absolutely agree. And then obviously the next one's near and dear to my heart. I've already professed my love to Ben a few times tonight, but I absolutely love Armageddon. I think him and Liv Tyler, like, and it's kind of different. Like most of these movies we've talked about are like relationships that develop throughout the course of the movie. This one, they were already a couple when shit hit the fan. But like I just feel like they are a great couple, and the antagonisticness of Bruce Willis's character is what makes their relationship fun in the movie. And then obviously, man, I cry every single time when Harry pushes him back in, and then they have their big like scene between each other at the end. Like it's an action movie that's got one of the greatest love stories I've ever seen in it, man. How do you feel about Armageddon?
It's fine.
Fine.
I've already referenced it once as far as, I hope
Yep.
somebody on this earth is doing the same thing we are doing right now. Yeah, it's silly, it's ridiculous, it's entertaining. Um, I, I just read a quote recently again, and it was somebody, Ben Affleck asking Michael Bay, why wouldn't it be faster to train astronauts to drill than it would be for drillers to become astronauts? And he turned and he looked at Ben Affleck and then he said, "Shut the fuck up." And that was his response to like this glaring plot hole that exists for Armageddon. I don't care. I enjoy it. One of my favorite movies, especially from the late 90s. So you're willing to forgive and forget on certain films for sure. And this is definitely one of those.
As we've talked about numerous times on this episode, that has a banging soundtrack from some awesome bands that they put together for that soundtrack.
Absolutely.
Next up, same year in '98 was The Mask of Zorro. How do you feel about that? Antonio Banderas
Perfect.
and Catherine
Perfect
Zeta-Jones. Yep,
casting, perfect chemistry between those two in that movie.
awesome. Now, next year, my favorite year of all time, 1999, saw The Matrix. How do you feel about like this is one that I was when I was putting this list together, I was kind of thinking about it, and I was just like, I don't necessarily know if this is like the greatest relationship in an action movie, just because like she literally only likes him because she thinks he's Jesus. Like I don't really.
She doesn't fall in love with him because she thinks he's Jesus, or because he is Jesus, Matrix Jesus. That's not why she falls in love with them. She falls in love with him because she falls in love with him. He just happens to be Matrix Jesus.
You think so? Like really? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I never took it as like he's Jesus, let me fall in love with him. I think she's in love with him. I think she develops a love. It's not very well fleshed out, but yeah,
Okay.
I think she's in love with Neo,
Okay.
and then becomes Matrix Jesus.
What's the moment that you think, like, where in the movie is it that you think she falls in love with him?
Well, I'm under the impression that she's had to be watching him for a while. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
think the
Okay.
entire team has probably, but she's probably been tasked with focus on him.
Okay.
And so I think by the time she meets him, I think she's already got somewhat of an infatuation with him. That's just
Okay.
my personal opinion when she meets him in the club or whatever at the beginning of the film. So,
I can definitely buy that. Same year, 1999, we got the amazing Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz when they did The Mummy. And I absolutely love this movie. I think it's one of my favorite action movies of all time. But we've talked about it on here before, how much I love it. They their bickering from the start of the movie through the entire movie is just great romantic chemistry in my opinion, and I really love how it builds throughout the course of the movie. What are your feelings on them?
I will totally agree with you. This is the closest thing to an Indiana Jones sequel that we get after Last Crusade.
Absolutely.
Um, the feel of it feels very similar um, to Indiana Jones. The small bickers, the small barbs that are being thrown
Uh-huh.
back and forth between the characters. It doesn't just have to be um, Rick and
Evie,
Evie.
Evie,
Um, it's not just those two throwing it back and forth. It's all of them.
sure,
And I that's one of the things that make this movie so magical and so timeless. I think it's fantastic. And
absolutely agree.
their chemistry together. It's a real shame that they decided in that third one to get rid of her because for whatever reason, casting wise, I guess Rachel Weisz said that she didn't believe that she would have been old enough to have a teenage or a 20-year-old son by this point in time or something.
Oh,
Or
okay.
I forget exactly how it all played out, but it's one of those things where you're like, I wish they would have figured that out because even though I've never even seen the third one, Tomb of the Emperor or whatever it is with Jet
Oh,
Li,
yeah, it's terrible.
um,
Yeah, it's really bad.
I've never seen it, but it's one of those things where it's like, and I think one of the main reasons I didn't want to watch it was because she wasn't in it.
And
Because
that's one
she's,
how bad the second one was also.
yeah, the second one's really horrible. So,
Yeah. Was some of the worst CGI I've ever seen.
yep.
One more from 1999, and I hope this is a Sean Connery movie that you've seen. We got Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones going at it in Entrapment.
I
Have
I'm pretty sure that I have her ass going underneath the laser beams edged in my head because I saw that trailer so often when this movie was coming out. Um, it's a little weird how old he is and how young she is for them to have this. But then she married Michael Douglas in real life. So like, man, like, and Michael Douglas isn't as old as Sean Connery, obviously, but he's not too far behind. Um, but it's a little strange, their relationship in the movie. But if you're a female, you're probably falling in love with Sean Connery anyway. So
I mean, I would probably fall in love with Sean Connery given the
just
opportunity.
hanging around that man was probably enough to make you, go from 6 to midnight. So
Absolutely agree with you on that. Next up, we got another Ben Affleck movie. This was like the big summer blockbuster of 2000. I am not a fan of this movie. We've already talked about Michael Bay earlier. I don't enjoy this movie. Um, Pearl Harbor, I didn't. I don't care about Ben, and I don't even remember the chick that played his girlfriend
came
in the
back and
movie.
sail.
Thank you. Yep. Don't care about the movie at all. Yep, blah. Not a fun movie in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, it's a pretty bad movie. Kate Beckinsale looks amazing in the film, from a makeup and standpoint of being in the 40s and like the 40s, 50s time frame and like her style. I think her facial features and everything, they dolled her up properly to make her look like she belonged in that time frame, and she's absolutely stunning and gorgeous in most movies, but in this one in particular. But the movie itself is horrible. I believe that she has love for Ben Affleck's character. I don't believe she has love for Josh Hartnett's character. And it was more along the lines of, I feel bad and you're somebody with a penis that can make me feel a little bit better right now.
Sure.
That's the way I watched that movie, and the few times I've seen it, because I've been like, it can't be that bad. And then like anything that has anything to do outside of like the war sequences, I'm
Okay.
completely bored in. I actually really enjoy the bomber sequences and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, overall, this movie is just shite. So
Jump into our next movie, very much like the bickering that we have in The Mummy. 2001, The Mexican had Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts as a bickering couple, and I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a lot of fun.
I like this movie a lot, but my problem is I don't think there's like I don't know, man.
Not an action movie.
I don't know if it is. I don't think it is an action film, but on top of that, I don't care for like they're so toxic for one another.
Okay, all right.
And I think that's why and I really have an issue with that because I think that they could have written it a little bit differently and I would have cared a lot more.
Okay.
Julie Roberts and Brad Pitt in this movie just blah. Like their relationship, I'm not pulling for them to get together. It's
Okay.
just gonna happen, whether or not I want it to or not. It's just going to happen. So I don't know.
All right.
The Mexican's a fine movie. It's not something that I find myself ever like, oh, I need to pop that in and watch that. Like it's I own it. But it's not something that I don't know if I've popped that in 20 years now.
Gotcha. Well, let's stick with Brad Pitt for a minute, but let's jump to him and Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh,
Definitely
that's
an
a lot
action
of
movie.
fun.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
A
Definitely a
lot
lot
of
of fun.
fun. A little, it's absolutely preposterous, but
Oh, sure.
silly and ridiculous. But it's fun. It's entertaining. It's directed by one of our favorite directors. And yeah, and you totally. Yeah, I don't mind their bickering and they're trying to outdo each other every time, kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
Definitely. Uh, so the next movie, Jumper, definitely falls into that. Not an action movie in your opinion?
No, no, it's directed by the same director as Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Um, I don't remember there being a love story.
It's Hayden Christensen and
Uh,
Rachel Bilson.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen it a couple of times, but I don't remember it being terribly like romance wise. Like I
Okay.
don't. That's not how I think of that movie at all.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it too, but I thought like part of the movie was him trying to like woo her and pick her up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess he is. I haven't seen that movie in a very long time, and it's kind of not memorable.
Sure. Jumping to the next movie, I know is one of your favorite movies, but it also falls into this sci-fi category. How much action do you think Avatar has? And do you think that's a believable love story like Ferngully?
Like Ferngully, like Dances with Wolves, like The Last Samurai, like all of those movies. Yeah, it's believable. It works. James Cameron's awesome. I don't know if it necessarily needed to be in our list of action movies.
Okay.
So,
Is Scott Pilgrim an action movie?
oh yes,
Yes. Okay, good. All right, cool.
dude,
So how do you feel about Ramona Flowers and Scott Pilgrim?
they're fantastic.
Yes, they are.
Which is weird because they shouldn't even be together. But it works. It just works in that movie, and it's actually something that I'm kind of excited because of the way that they made that movie to show it to my two oldest boys at
Okay.
some point. Um, I'd say that the sexual innuendos in it are probably a little bit too much for them right now, but soon it'll probably
Nice.
be able for me to watch it. So,
Consider the action, or do you consider The Town to be an action movie?
absolutely, Town is definitely an action film.
Oops, how do you feel about Rebecca
All.
Hall? Thank you. I knew it wasn't Ferguson. Rebecca Hall and Ben Affleck in that movie.
That's another one where I feel like the romance is a big back seat to the
Okay,
action film itself.
sure.
It's just got a little bit of it in there for the most part. I mean, it's a driving force in the movie for sure, but I don't feel like when I think of the town, I don't sit there and think of, oh, that's a great love story. I think of like all the awesome action sequences um in that film throughout the whole thing too. So yeah, it's fine. Their relationship's cool. You kind of get it. He wants to be out of what he's in, and she's looking for something to help her escape her crappy life, essentially. So
Word. Let's jump on to The Bounty Hunter. You got any feelings on that?
don't even know what that movie is.
Jennifer Aniston and um the guy that was in White House Down, um
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler, like they're ex-husband and wives, and he has to track her down. And you ever see it?
I don't think I did.
Okay. It's fine. It's fun-ish. Like I remember having a good time with it. Like it's Jennifer Aniston, and Gerard Butler is cool, and so they have a very antagonizing relationship, being ex-lovers and whatnot. So it's fun. It's not a waste of your time, but maybe not the most actiony movie. But there's some action stuff that happens in it.
The
What about
next
Night
one's a
and Day?
waste of my time.
Yeah, that movie was pretty bad. It was pretty
Although,
dumb.
what's weird is I read an article recently that was talking about how it's actually not that bad of a movie, and I'm like, maybe you and I saw this together, if I'm remembering correctly.
I believe you're correct.
I think we went and saw it over at Castleton, AMC Castleton.
Um,
And yeah, who directed this one? James Mangold, one of my favorite directors. Maybe I do need to give this one another shot. Yeah. Night and Day, really not good from
no,
whatever.
not fun at all.
Written by the guy who did Say Anything. Patrick O'Neill wrote Say Anything.
It doesn't sound right, but okay.
Maybe he worked with Cameron Crowe. I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think? Because Cameron Crowe wrote Say Anything.
Oh, well, which is weird because when I go to this guy, Patrick O'Neill, who wrote Night and Day, it says Patrick O'Neill is known for Say Anything, Gross Point Blank, and Bang Bang. Bang Bang, I don't even know what that is. He's an actor in Gross Point Blank and Say Anything. Okay.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense then.
Yeah, I don't even know who this guy is. Um, but yeah, weird.
Yeah,
Weird.
not a good movie.
No, not a good film.
Killers. Oh, this is Ashton Kutcher. Um,
And old girl from 40 or not 40-year-old virgin knocked up. Katherine
yeah,
Heigl.
yeah, kind of Heigl. Yep. For
Never
being
seen it.
okay. Yeah, I don't remember it standing out a lot. It was just kind of okay. Do you remember This Means War?
I do. It came out on Valentine's Day. It was Chris Pine, Reese Witherspoon, and
Chris
somebody.
Hemsworth?
And no.
No,
Wasn't
Chris
Hemsworth.
Pine. You already said Chris Pine.
Yeah, it was Chris Pine. Oh my gosh.
Like
This
I can
means
see the poster. It's got all three of them on the poster. Chris Pine.
Tom Hardy was the other guy.
Oh, I don't know if I ever would have gotten to that. I didn't remember that that was him.
I didn't remember that either.
And I remember it being okay. I don't remember loving it, but I remember it being okay.
Mick G directed it. Oh,
Oh, I retract my statement.
the only good thing he's done then is the babysitter movies.
Hmm.
Yeah. Ugh. 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 Anyway,
Not good memories about This Means War.
I don't remember it being good.
Yeah. Do you remember Sam Rockwell and Anna Kendrick doing a movie together called Mr. Right?
I did not see it all the way through. I fell asleep watching. I started it one late night, and I don't think I ever went back to it.
Gotcha. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I think it's a fun movie. Very ridiculous, over the top action stuff, but like Sam Rockwell is flawless. Like he's in Argyle that we were just talking about, kind of a similar character, like an over the top assassin. Lots of fun in that. I guess this was post-COVID, but it was not too long ago. The Sandra Bullock movie, The Lost City. Did you watch that?
Yeah, her and Channing Tatum and her.
Yep. Brad Pitt.
Uh, Brad Pitt showing up in it. It's fine.
Okay. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was enjoyable. Very
Yeah,
dumb, like very over the top dumb.
yeah,
And then last movie we got to talk about is Argyle that we just recently saw, which was far better than I ever expected it to be.
yeah. I think it takes a sharp turn on like ridiculousness near the end more so than the rest of the movie.
Agreed.
Uh,
Agreed.
like the last probably like half an hour, 40 minutes are a lot weirder than the
Yeah.
rest of the film. So the tone changes, which I didn't care for a whole lot.
So,
But
can't argue that.
the rest of the movie was fun, entertaining. If you want to keep on going with this, you could look at Jurassic World and Jurassic World Dominion, or
Well,
that bickering
sure.
action. Chris,
Chris
which one is
Pratt
that?
and
Chris
Chris Pratt
Pratt.
and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard. So thank you. You could look at that for them.
That's a good one too. Yeah. What else you got? You got anything else for me? What else did I forget?
Oh man.
I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that we've forgotten. These are just the ones I
Yeah,
could think of
Running
off the top
Man.
of my head.
Yeah, Running Man back in the day. The guy, the chick that he takes hostage that ends up becoming like his love
Oh,
interest.
okay, sure. Yeah. Wasn't that a Michael Crichton book also?
That was a Stephen King short.
Stephen King. There we go. Gotcha.
And then you have like The Specialist with the
Oh, okay.
Stallone and Sharon Stone.
Oh, okay. So what about Demolition Man? Could we
Oh
throw
yeah,
Demolition Man into this? Yeah.
totally,
Wow, I
totally.
completely forgot about Demolition Man.
That's like one of your favorites of all time.
It
So,
is. I can't believe I forgot that. I might have to
and
change my Mount Rushmore here.
might as well throw in the Fast and the Furious, Jordana Brewster and Paul Walker.
Point. That's a really crappy love story in the first movie, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not arguing
The
with you. I
whole,
get it.
the whole reason he's in that situation is because of her.
Yeah, that is 100% true. If she didn't make such good food for him,
Yeah, she didn't make such a good tuna melt.
well, there you go. Man, what am I going to change on my Mount Rushmore? Yeah, that's probably got to come off there. We're deleting that.
And you got, and if we're gonna stay with action movies, and some of them can be ridiculous. First
Uh-huh.
off, Hours, man.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the
I
second
mean,
one,
I was
so
gonna say the second one I'm a bigger fan of than the first one, so
yeah,
I
kind
like
of
it. I like it.
silliness.
All right, man. So my last question before we get into our Mount Rushmore is any of the Marvel, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be Marvel. Is there any comic book movies that you think have a decent love story to them?
That's a tough one because the first one that always comes when I was thinking about this, the first one that comes to my mind is Wolverine Jean Grey.
Okay, okay. All right. All right. And that's the love triangle you got going on there. I assumed that Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter would come to your mind,
Yeah,
but I know you
definitely.
hate how they ended that. So
Just wish they would. Just doesn't make
comic book,
sense.
comic book,
Stop with the comic book. Like,
comic
no,
book.
can't magically say comic book and make everything okay, Shane.
Pretty sure I just did, and I'm right.
No, you're not. You're not
Comic
right.
book. I
Oh,
don't know how they did it.
you should be bitch slapped sometimes. So,
I
uh,
do get that from time to time.
oh
Any
man.
other comic book romances that like what about Spider-Man and whatever MJ?
See, I don't like. See, I like Spider-Man or I like Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy way more than I like him and MJ.
Okay.
And I don't think of, which is weird because I don't think of I think of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man being MJ and Peter. Think of Amazing Spider-Man as being Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy.
Stacy.
But then like the new one, she calls herself MJ, but I don't feel like she's MJ.
Okay.
And which I'm okay with too, because like they just made her own kind of person, um, who just shares a nickname essentially. But
Sure.
and I'm okay with that. So because I think they did a really good job. I think Zendaya and Tom Holland, there's a reason why I don't even know if they're still together or not, but there's a reason why they were so well together for so long. I think they might still be. I was kind of shocked when I found out that Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield weren't together anymore, and she's been married to some other dude for like 6 years now or something like that. I was like,
Did not know that.
well, I don't read people or follow that kind of information.
My Entertainment Weekly subscription expired back in 1999, so I have not been keeping up with E-Weekly like I used to.
So that's a tough one, man. I don't know who else I'd throw on that list. Should just be like I should just go upstairs and look at all my action films.
I mean, like, so you've got just like Tony Stark and Pepper Potts, like, okay. Bruce Banner and Scarlett Johansson, a Black Widow. Yeah. What's that?
That one's just blah.
Gotcha. You got Ant-Man and the Wasp. Um, Thor and Jane Foster ish.
That's another one. Like the first one feels like it's organic and it flows properly.
Sure.
I don't feel like I don't know. Everything after that first one's very weird for that combo for me.
You got Doctor Strange and Rachel McAdams,
Yeah, which
Star Lord and Gamora.
yeah, Star-Lord and Gamora is a good one.
Okay. Um,
I'm looking through all my digital films right now, and I'm like, what else would fall into this category?
sure.
Uh,
Um, I think I
what
might
about
have.
Con Air?
Oh man.
Monica Potter and
Yeah,
then and Nick Cage.
man. Yeah, that's a good one. Like, man, like, yeah.
Or
I'm
the
just trying to think because like their relationship doesn't change through the whole movie. Like they're together at the beginning, and then like they're together at
you
the
don't
end.
think it changes? You don't think it changes when he goes to jail? And
I mean, but she doesn't divorce him. It's not like he's trying to win her back through the course of the movie. Like,
I don't know. I kind of take it as he's trying to win her back because he's been gone for so long. But I see your point. The Crow, you've got the main character and his dead fiance.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, Die Hard.
Good point. We're trying to win back his estranged wife. Yeah.
Oh,
You know, how did I not fucking think of Die Hard?
do 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 do. We already touched on the Fast series.
You know,
God, that movie is so those. Ugh.
I know they're so good and so much fun, aren't they? I can't wait for Fast 11. I was expecting a Fast 11 trailer last night. I didn't get it. I was very disappointed.
Oh man, Shane,
No,
you're
it's
so
a lot of
wrong.
fun. It's so much fun. Such
You're
a good
so.
time. Bars doing stupid shit. Such a good time.
Oh, oh.
Oh, we didn't get a Dead Reckoning trailer either. That was interesting. Dead Reckoning Part 2?
Yeah, like, did they? Are they done filming that, or did they? I thought they
I thought
filmed
they
them
did
back.
them at the same time. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like,
I
pretty sure it's
thought.
coming out this year.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was like indefinitely on hold because of how bad the first one did,
Oh,
unfortunately.
interesting. Let me look at that up real quick because that's not going to create any dead space or boringness on this podcast with us both on our phones looking shit up.
Incredible Hulk. You got Betty and him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's a
I
good
like
one.
that a lot. That one's fantastic in the way that it does things. Do we want to The weird one is like Born Identity, right? Because like I feel like they just
Okay.
like they force that relationship into one another in that
Mm-hmm.
first movie. And then in the second one, doesn't she die at the very beginning of the second one? And that kind of
Yes.
starts his vengeance kick or whatever.
Yes, which is dumb because that is not how the books went. And in the third book, she was a very important character, and then they couldn't do it that way.
Oh, you Rene Russo and Mel Gibson.
Um,
Lethal Weapon
uh,
3.
oh yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah, for sure.
Or Edge of Tomorrow with another Doug Liman movie, having Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, and how that
Oh,
relationship
well, no wonder we didn't get a
should.
trailer. It's been pushed to May 23rd of 2025 for the untitled eighth Mission Impossible movie.
Gotcha. Um, but yeah, so you have Edge of Tomorrow, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever that she ends up falling in love with him every single time.
Okay. Yep, okay,
I
that
mean,
makes sense.
I guess if you have a Groundhog Day moment, you know what to say and you can manipulate it enough times over and over again, like Andy Samberg does in
Yeah,
what Palm
Palm
Springs.
Springs. You know,
Um, you got Lost Boys and his love interest in that being Star.
okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting one. And then I mean, do you consider the Ocean's 11 series? It's not really action, but it's also
Not
like
really
it is
action,
kind of
but
action.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know that. I love Danny Ocean and Julia Roberts. Uh-oh, what did we forget? What's I see the
Point
reaction.
Break, Lori Petty, Keanu Reeves, and Point Break.
Point Break. Oh, yep. Oh, damn. Yep.
So,
Oh,
um,
yeah, that's a good one
yeah, that's definitely something that was built on their problems in that
for
movie.
sure.
So, I think we've ranted enough about this, though.
All right, that's cool. So, out of all these ones we've talked about, let's finally do our Mount Rushmore for this episode, and let's pick what's up.
Nope, nope. I'm gonna throw it into my Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah. All right, cool. Let's jump over there and let's talk about some Mount Rushmores. Let me hear your Mount Rushmore of this genre of action movies that have some romance and give me your four couples that were from an action movie.
Well, and the two that I'm just thinking of now is not like my favorites. It's just like one of those things where I'm like, oh, like they're, you know what? I'm gonna throw them in because they're not my favorites, but they're worth mentioning.
All right, let's
Um,
do it.
Under Siege, Steven Seagal and Erica Eleniak or whatever, the girl who pops out of the
Oh,
cake.
out of the cake.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so
Huh, okay.
definitely a situation that is kind of weird and kind of like Speed, where it's just based
Sure.
off of the craziness of the
Yep.
moment.
Yep.
Tango and Cash, Kurt Russell and Terry Hatcher's characters in that movie.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, sure. Okay.
God, she was smoking hot in that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Man,
so
I forget about that movie a lot. You own that digitally?
I do, because it's fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in a long time. I should watch that again soon.
And the end is so ridiculously stupid bad, but it's one of those things. It's like it's such a perfect '80s movie. Um,
Absolutely.
so all right, so I gotta pick four.
You're,
Ugh,
you're halfway there, bro. In the immortal words of Bon Jovi.
that's wow. You stretched like Mr. Fantastic on that one, Shane.
Uh,
Uh,
do what I can.
I'm gonna say the Terminator, man. That's
Okay.
that's the awesome one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I can survive that, or I can see that.
I and while it might have been inspired by it, I don't think it. I think that it does better. I think it does better than the movies that inspired this film. Um, I'm gonna say the Mummy.
Okay.
So
All
the
right.
Terminator, the Mummy. I'm gonna go Gross Point Blank, and out of the stuff that we talked about, and Speed. Those are my favorites.
Okay. Well, we overlap on two of them. My number 4 is Speed, like you just said. I think that's a really good one. I did put Demolition Man on there after we brought it up. I do love their chemistry in that movie. What's that?
Said you have a thing for Sandra Bullock, apparently.
Well, I mean, good point. Yeah, definitely. My number 2 is Armageddon. Because I have a thing for Ben Affleck, obviously. And then my number 1 we share together is The Mummy. I literally think it's literally one of the greatest love stories ever put on film, action movie or not. Like I think the movie is damn near flawless. It's a lot of fun, and the romance part of it is a big part of why that movie works for me.
Totally agree.
So awesome, man. Well, thank you for doing this mid-month episode with me. Like I said, I thought this was going to be a much shorter episode, but we definitely found some cool shit to talk about. Always fun. Always love spending time with you. Bro, we are a week and a half away from going to Florida together on a dudes-ish trip to go play around at Disney and go to Star Wars Land together, and it's going to be so much fun. I know we've talked about filming some content while we're down there for the next episode. And yeah, it should be a really good time. I cannot wait to go and do it. And yeah, we'll have kind of a Disney-ish themed episode for March.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, it really came through with that thumbs up. I really felt that. All of our audio listeners that have no idea why you're being dead fucking silent when I'm sitting here raving about getting to sleep in a bed with you.
You're sleeping with Joel.
Wait, what? Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, so everybody, thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you for going along on this ride with us, and we will be back sometime. It might not be a March 1st drop since we don't get back until the last day of February. I don't know if I will be able to get stuff edited, but it will be an early March release for next month where we talk about some Disney stuff. So we appreciate your time. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next month.